Welcome to Real Life and Archetypes. My name is Marina, and this is a continuation of the exploration of the archetypes of Christian Craighead that I see in his interview on the Shawn Ryan Show. So we're going to start to get to very deep and interesting stuff. And maybe I should do like a short recap about what we've been exploring so far. So this is an ex-Special Forces who did something quite extraordinary in 2019. He went into a hotel in Nairobi, Kenya. He saved hundreds of lives by just going in by himself and then facilitating, paving the way for others to fight against some terrorists who were massacring people inside that hotel. He did not go in there with the orders or permission of his superiors. He was not ordered to go in there. He went in of his own accord. And the thing about what happened there is that after a while, his identity became known. And so he's telling the story of what led him to that moment, because that day was quite extraordinary. We will be exploring more about what happened on that day and what he's willing to tell about that day, which is quite interesting. He cannot say a lot about the details of the operation itself, but what happened to him and the way that he feels about his experiences, that's something that is very interesting because of the archetypes that I like to explore. And so what we have been talking about so far is that this is a man who comes from a background of a lot of exposure to violence, torture when he was very young, someone who had an awareness that this is a very important statement that he revealed, which is that when he was being tortured, he thought, well, at least it's me and not somebody else. So somebody with a deep sense of sacrifice, really the traits of a warrior. And he was lucky to have one very important person in his life, which is his grandmother, who was the one person who saw that he had potential, that there was something about him that was unique. He calls it different. I call it unique because that's the hero archetype. She saw his potential. She believed in him. He lost her when he was 12 years old. So it marked the beginning of a very deep loneliness and the support, the emotional support, which we all need from someone very close to enable him to really go in the way where his potential was taking him. But as all heroes' journeys they are extraordinary, and they take you on a very unique path, which is your own path. So most people are going to live a life that is not defined by themselves. And the whole point of the hero's journey is really to go on a path that isn't anybody else's. And Joseph Campbell gave us all of the concept of the hero's journey and the structure. And he said, if you see a path that is already made, it's not yours, it's somebody else. Actually, I think that's a quote that he borrowed from Carl Jung. But that is the concept that life itself is a hero's journey. Being born and existing is a hero. And the whole challenge really, and especially for people who have really difficult experiences and why they identify so much with that theme, that mythology of the hero's journey, and who look at, guys like these guys in special forces, it's because they represent that archetypal hero's journey to go into a life where they're really going to push themselves and discover what they're really made of. So they're going to really fulfill their potential. What is interesting about this interview, I can't really explain fully why this interview really impacted me so much, but it's just there. I think it's because there's a combination. First of all, I relate a lot personally for many reasons, but I think that this interview, this man, he has this combination of, being obviously the archetypal hero, and also revealing a lot of things that are very personal. A lot of people will call that vulnerable. I get a little tired of that word. I think it's about truth. It's about really being reflective. He's self-reflective. He's analytical, and he has also a lot of big-minded thinking and philosophy. Trying to really interpret his life with great meaning. And of course, what happened in 2019 for him is a very important event from what we can tell. That's my personal opinion, but I think it's quite obvious from the interview. And he considers it like the culmination of everything that happened to him in his life, that everything suddenly had a clear explanation, a clear interpretation. And he suffered so much, and he had to, remain at such a high level of pressure, and his job, that kind of job. I mean, normal people, like most of us, we can't begin to imagine what kind of pressure and level of performance, and I don't know, it must be really incredible, because I have my own hero's journey. Nothing compares to that. But that's why, people like me and others, we look at these archetypal heroes, especially when they come back. This is part of the hero's journey, to come back and bring back something to the world, such as the story of their adventure and all of the obstacles, all of the things that they've been through. What I find most interesting about this interview is that, well, there are a lot of things that I relate to. The need for belonging. He is uprooted. He now lives in the United States. He left the UK, where he is from, for many reasons. But the question is that he left the conditions where, I think, for me, that's where he has the wounded warrior. I'm thinking in terms of archetype and the chart. But those are the conditions where he had to separate from. This is the hero's journey. The hero's journey is going to take you from the ordinary world to a special world, and then a return to the ordinary world. This is relevant to the next video that we're going to explore, because after everything that he's been through, and of course a great sense of purpose and motivation and direction in life, and he's pushed himself and he's accomplished a lot. And I want to mention a little thing, because he's written a book which he cannot publish about. Particularly, I think he wants to talk about that day in Kenya and what he did. They're not allowing him to publish anything, but he's written a story, which is a children's book, and I don't have it, but he talks about it, and he talks about how it's a story of a wolf, the wrong wolf, and he sort of has to do something very extraordinary to be accepted. So acceptance is a language, it's a word that is about the family archetype. It's about belonging, feeling accepted, and having a sense of being rooted in a human system where we feel comfortable, we can be ourselves, we are accepted. And I think that's a huge subject for him. This is, at least that's my opinion. Obviously, I'm doing my own exploration, but let's just take it from here. So basically, his grandmother is the one figure that he was really attached to emotionally, who gave him what he needed. who really saw his potential, believed in him. That's a very important thing. And then she passed away, and that's when he felt truly alone. But he did respond to the call of the hero's journey, and he took his life in the right direction. And now he has retired from his career in the military. He spent 28 years there, many of them in special forces. So this is a guy that is at the highest level. And now he is back in the ordinary world and civilian life. So this is like a period of transition that a lot of people in special forces have a very hard time with, because it's a change of world that is so big that many of them cannot handle. So let's just go to the next video and see what he's talking about now.
You're a man with the amount of courage that you can muster up in situations is like nothing people have ever seen. I mean, you entered a hotel where people were being slaughtered by Al-Shabaab against your country's orders. You did that.
Okay, so later on we will see in the interview, but I want to say it now. He didn't go in against his country's orders. He did not go in with the permission. He was not ordered to go in, but he was not ordered to not go in either. So he clarifies that later, but I just want to mention it now.
Nobody does that. And now let's fast forward. That happened in 2019. Let's fast forward to 4 years. We're worried about what other people think.
So Shawn Ryan keeps going back to that subject that from, his opinion is that Christian Craighead is too focused on what other people think. I'm a little ambivalent or in conflict with that, because he insists on it so much that I wonder if it's because of a conversation that they had in private. I wonder about that, because even at the beginning of the interview, Shawn Ryan keeps bringing that up, that Christian Craighead is too focused on or too stuck on what other people think. So I think it's because they must have discussed something in private, because he just repeats that all the time.
Does that add up to you?
It's probably what I think it is. Doing a self-diagnosis is, it's a side effect of being alone, of is it called abandonment syndrome? My grandma died, but in essence she left me.
There you go. That's the big thing. So abandonment syndrome, he's very self-aware. Again, I say that again and again, these people are very self-aware, and he's very self-analytical as well. Abandonment syndrome, being alone. So the path of the hero is very lonely. So, and I mean, just understanding the steps, looking at your life in terms of the hero's journey and understanding the steps and how you need to do things for yourself so that you can sort of remove the layers that are not yours. It's about finding really what you're capable of. And as you push yourself, you develop capacities. You're going to be inspired to do things that are more true to who you really are and your true nature. That's the whole story of the hero's journey, really. It's about being in touch with who you really are. But here's the thing. This guy had a motivation from an early age, which is quite extraordinary. He always wanted to be a soldier, a warrior in the military. Most people don't have that, but we're always evolving in life. So no matter what happens, even when we accomplish, it's like we close a circle and then we have to begin again. And when we begin again, that's the hero again starting a new journey. And right now, well, let's just listen to him.
And so it's like this thing about I don't want to be alone. Like I'm trying to, but like I say, it's test and adjusting. No, it's not gonna give me my purpose. But I kind of sometimes I don't want to be alone, and then I realize I am alone, and we're all alone. But
that's a philosophical statement. We're all alone. Sometimes I don't want to be alone. I want to be. This is the thing, you know, when you have so much of that hero energy and you respond to it, you're so capable. That strength that you have, and especially he's done it. I mean, he's been through a lot. He's done the hero's journey. It sets you apart so much that, of course, you're going to feel alone because you're just, like he keeps saying, he is so different. He is so unique. His experiences are so unique. How do you find yourself living in a world when you've experienced all those things, and you have to come back to the normal world? So this is all the language we're going to hear now. That's language of transition. He's trying to figure out, okay, what is my purpose? That's what the hero is after always. The hero wants fulfillment of potential, live life fully, be completely motivated by something, so that all of the energy is into, you know, something that really motivates you, something that you really love, that pushes you. But he's already done that, and now he has to start a new cycle. So that's what he's going to be talking about.
That's the problem. It's part adjustment of coming out of the military after 28 years. So, and part of this, like, just trying to work it out.
I mean, that's part of being alone, though. I mean, that's part of, I mean, you're a leader. You're a leader of men, and leaders are lonely.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
They are.
But,
because you have to make the tough calls. You have to lead.
So, yeah, and so it's all just been about, like, finding my feet, really. You know.
Finding my feet. That's language to me of belonging, finding my feet, my roots, finding somewhere I belong. So again, yeah, it's all about transitioning here. What is my purpose now? What is my new purpose? And it's lonely. So Shawn Ryan says, you're a leader of men, and leaders are lonely. That's true. But I think that for Christian Craighead, the loneliness, he has both. He has the hero's loneliness, so the leadership, and also the older self, so somebody at a high level. When you're at the top, it's a very lonely place to be, because you're at such a high level, you're very serious, you feel a lot of responsibility, you think a lot about society. That's why he's very concerned about fitting in and belonging, because he wants to participate in the world in a serious way. I mean, he has a great sense of responsibility. He has the older self archetype. He was emotionally attached to that archetype through his grandmother, the first figure who really instilled in him the values of, looking at being responsible, respecting authority, helping the vulnerable and the weak, and things like that. So this is somebody who has probably a great sense of responsibility and burden and worry about, what the world is like and society and things like that. He's a serious guy. I think that's more the loneliness kind for him. It comes from that older self. Everybody who is high up is usually, it's lonely at the top. So when you're somebody with such high standards and such capabilities, I mean, the combination of that, You're just so extraordinary. You're so apart. What the hell do you do in the normal world? It's a real thing. It's difficult for normal people. We all go through a lot of things. I mean, I watch those interviews for very personal reasons that I can't talk about, but I watch them. I relate personally to a lot of stuff. I'm not a special operator. I haven't been through those experiences, but I fully understand and relate to, as much as I can, to the stuff that he talks about, that a lot of them talk about. I have these struggles, and I'm not, like that. I'm not an extraordinary person who's been through those experiences. So imagine what that must be like for these guys. Now you're back in the normal world. It's like, this is, it's not as enticing, motivating, and exciting as the kind of life that I was living before, particularly after you've achieved so much. It's like, okay, now what? Now I've reached the highest of the highest level. What do I do? Well, it's part of the phases of life. It's actually a natural phase, and transitions are quite annoying because what they demand from us, and this is part of the archetype of the dreamer, it's about reconnecting with the spirit and a new level, another level of motivation of how you're going to participate in the world. So for people who have not connected to their hero archetype and their potential, that's going to be like a huge struggle to try to find something that motivates you. But when you've been there already and you've experienced that, the high, the thrills of being in special forces, of surviving and being whole, he's whole. So that's already quite extraordinary. He did something that was like super extraordinary. Again, I keep repeating, these guys as astronauts, I mean, the experiences that they have, it's not, Shawn Ryan keeps saying, why do you care what people think? I don't think that's what it is. I don't think that's his problem. His problem is that he doesn't connect in the same way that he would like. He doesn't belong. He doesn't feel like he belongs. Of course, he's so unique. His experiences have been just incredible. And now, to me, transition, it's about healing your wounds. It's about reflecting a lot on your life experiences, and then finding something that you can bring to the world in another way. And it's part of getting older. Now comes a time for another kind of service. His service has been, very exhilarating in special forces. And now he's going to have to find another way of feeling motivated and of service to the world. I think that's what he's looking for. He's looking for purpose. We're going to listen. He keeps talking about that.
And I'm still looking. I'm still looking to try and find this purpose and see what it is. There's things I want to do and there's things that I'm doing, but there's still nothing that is like filling my soul. Like as a young person, I wanted to be a soldier. And then when I was in the army, I wanted to get into the unit. And when I was in the unit, I wanted to do X, Y, and Z.
Something that it fills my soul. So in the archetypes, the first one is the hero, okay? And the last one is the dreamer. The dreamer is the one that is telling you need to align with your soul. And basically, it's about what is it that you're going to give to the world. Instead of thinking about just yourself, you're trying to align who you are and who you've become so that you can bring it back to the world. So now you're at another level of being. Okay, so something that fills his soul. And then he talks about he went into the army and he was what he's describing is climbing the ladder. So that's the older self archetype, the Capricorn archetype in the zodiac that climbs the ladder, levels of being, all right, ambitious. You're going higher and higher and higher. So there was purpose, there was motivation, and there were ladders to climb. And I keep saying in that archetype, people who have the older self archetype, what they're supposed to do, part of what they're supposed to do is to restitute their experience in some form so that it assists others, younger ones, to also, achieve things and accomplish what they want to accomplish. But the level of motivation and exhilaration in a period of transition, it's like the rug is pulled from under your feet because you have to completely redefine everything. And it doesn't mean that you can't find motivation again. Well, let's listen to what he's saying, because he's talking about this now.
And then there's this big void now of like, well, what do I want to do? And I'm still, and again, it's not a negative. It's like I'm sure it's going to come to me.
So the big void, that's in transition, the big void from one thing to another. Now there's this transition period. This is what I've done, and now there's this unknown. So that transition always feels like a void. And for those who have never responded to the call of the hero and experienced fulfillment of a potential, it's going to feel like a void of what you didn't do. And I've said that many times. What people express the most in their deathbed is regret for what they didn't do. So for him, that's not the case. He's done it. So it's another kind of transition. But most people, what they're going to feel is like, there's something missing. I haven't done it. And that void is brutal. That's a lot more brutal than him. He's like, okay, what is going to motivate me as much as, being in special forces and doing, these huge things that I did? That's a different kind of transition. But for most people, that's going to feel like, oh my God, my life has slipped away from me. And I didn't dare, I didn't respond to the hero's call for adventure, to do this, to dare, to push myself, to be bolder, that is brutal.
And
I think it's going to come to you.
It's probably come to me when I'm not even looking for it. That's how it always works.
Well, I think it's going to come from the heart, and and when you push everybody else's opinions and all their bullshit that they think that you should be doing to the side, I think that's the opportunity where it's going to come to you.
You know what's funny? Actually, so I'm thinking in terms of archetypes, okay? So of course I speculate. What Shawn Ryan is saying, again, I don't think that's the issue here. It's not about what other people think. It's about actually getting rid of what you think, of what you know, of what you've experienced. Transition is about letting go. You let go of an old life so that a new one can become. But you can't put on the new t-shirt before you've removed the old one. And that's why it feels like this. It's not about what do people think of me. It's what am I thinking that I'm going to be? What am I going to do now? I think that's actually, I'm speculating here, obviously, but I think that's actually the issue here. It's not really what do people think about me? I don't think that's Christian Craighead's issue. His issue and in terms of archetype, what I mean is that the process is about removing everything that you know so that something new can come. Because we have the mind that is just thinking in terms of the life that we've experienced, the life that we know. That's why for normal people, and for most people who have not responded to the hero's adventure, we repeat patterns, right? This thing about, oh, we do things again and again. Well, because we don't fully live and we don't evolve and let go of something so that we start something new. So that's the same kind of process here. It's not about, forget about what people think. No, it's what you have to forget is what your life has been. You have to remove it from yourself so that something new can come. But the paradox is that you have to also bring your experiences. That's why it's so difficult in transitions, because you do have to come with the wisdom of your experiences, but you have to remove a lot of stuff from those experiences. You have to heal from negative experiences. You have to let go of something you will never experience again. He will never be in the special forces, not in the way that he was. Who knows in the future? I don't know. But what I mean is that that is the process of transition. You're going to have to let go. And this whole thing, it doesn't happen in a weekend. You don't read a book and suddenly, oh, I've realized it now. It's something that needs to go through your body, your mind, your soul. It's a huge process, and you have to allow it to happen. And it's quite a nightmare for those who are in the phase where you've never had the fulfillment of the hero. That's quite a difficult kind of transition. For him, it might feel antsy, like, hey, I'm looking for something that motivates me. I don't know. I'm not him, so I don't know.
Would you agree with that?
Yeah, possibly, yeah. I mean, it's definitely a thing. But
what's the argument?
Well, yeah.
What is it? What's the argument?
Again, I'm just trying to do what the right thing is, and then see rather than base it on the opinion of me. Again, I'm not trying to cater to everyone. Maybe that's a bit out of context, like being taken out of context a bit, but I'm not. But I'm just trying to find my way. But the problem is I'm not. There is no. It's just the fact I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't know what my purpose is yet.
So you see that he's actually countering what Shawn Ryan keeps insisting on. He's saying maybe this is taken a little bit out of context. Shawn Ryan is insisting on you pay too much attention to what people think of you, and I don't have that impression from what this guy is talking about. He's just trying to say, hey, I want to be super motivated about something, and he has very high standards, and he wants to do the right thing. All of this language, it's all about the older self, the Capricorn archetype. I mean, this guy, he's serious. He's at a high level. He was in the elite. And from my understanding, the British SAS, it's like the highest of the highest. How are you going to replicate that experience? Well, you're not going to replicate it. So I think what he's talking about is really that, yeah, he's trying to find that sense of motivation, something that fills his soul. And what is that going to look like? It's going to come when he doesn't think about it, when he doesn't expect it, right? He said that before because he knows that this is how it works. He just has to let this stage happen and slowly, remove the layers, and then a new self will have to emerge. What that's going to look like, nobody knows. But I don't think it's about what people think. I think Shawn Ryan is stuck in that concept. I don't think that's the issue here. I think maybe Shawn Ryan is thinking about that because of how Christian Craighead, had that issue with some people in positions of authority who criticized him for what he did. And I think maybe Shawn Ryan is projecting his own stuff, as we all do. But I don't think it's about caring what other people think. I think the issue is, what do I think? What do I want to do? That's what he's looking for. Anyway, clip number 11. I have 21, I think, so this is going to take a while. So thank you so much for watching. I hope you find this interesting. Please support this channel, and I will see you next time and continue with this just amazing interview. God, I love this interview so much. Thank you so much.